Hello.
All right, welcome
Hello,
back to
hello.
another Meet the Masters. Today we're here with two legendary winemakers from Burgundy. This is,
We are
I mean,
legendary.
every winemaker
Only
would
in
say,
Singapore,
Yeah.
so nowhere else.
every winemaker would probably say, oh, it's an overstatement, but you guys really have a legendary status in, at least in Singapore.
Thank you.
I'll just give you 60 seconds or less to introduce yourselves, and then we're gonna get into the 60 seconds each.
Each. Wow.
So I'm Jean-Michel Chartron, fifth generation of a family estate in Puligny-Montrachet, which is quite the heart of white wine for me. That's why he calls me Mr. White, and Mr. Red for him, as is in Côte de Nuit. So Domaine Jean Chartron established 1859. I'm the fifth generation, and we own several vineyards in Puligny-Montrachet and in the neighborhood of other village, Chassagne-Montrachet, if you know, or Saint-Aubin. And I make 20 plus different white wines made of Chardonnay grape, as Chardonnay is clearly the grape varietal we produce most here in the village.
So I'm Thibault Liger-Belair, producer in Nuits-Saint-Georges, with a long history of the family because everything has been created in 1720. But I'm the third generation of wine grower and the ninth generation of Liger-Belair work in the wine business. The first generation of wine grower because the domain was, the vineyard was rent to a few growers in Nuits-Saint-Georges and Beaujolais. So I'm lucky to have took over the domain in 2001 to try to make the best that I can to have the terroir, the expression of the terroir. It's why that we have decided to, in 2001, to turn all the vineyard in organic. So I have the vineyard in Nuits-Saint-Georges, which represent 9 hectares, where I'm the owner of this vineyard. And also we take care about over 9 hectares of vineyard. So we harvest 18 hectares in Burgundy. And in 2008, I have decided to go to the Beaujolais, and especially in Moulin à Vent, only in Moulin à Vent, to create a domain. So I've purchased 3 hectares of vineyard in Moulin à Vent. And the goal was to try to come back of what all the Moulin à Vent was at the beginning of the 20th century. So now we have 13 hectares in Moulin à Vent, also work organically, and we have started the biodynamic in Nuits-Saint-Georges in 2004. Then we have been certified in 2007. Then I've stopped in 2012. And just because I think that I try to find something different, like more the phytotherapy, to work with the plant, the teas, and to try to not have any dogmatic way in the way of my production. So I produce 31 different appellations. So sometimes it's only 2 barrels, sometimes it's 60.
I just want to start from the first question, which is a very important question to ask for a lot of French winemakers, right? Because the up-and-coming wine consumer doesn't understand what does it mean when generations make wine. So how did you decide to get into wine after so many generations kind of did what you did?
As far as I'm concerned, my parents let me very free about this. They wanted to that I do the studies I wanted, but you know, winemaking is for us family business. Like every family business, your parents wake up thinking of wine, they eat thinking of wine, they have a nap thinking of wine, and in the evening they told you speaking of wine. So either you stick to it or you just leave it. Yeah. It's more a question of heart than anything. But my parents were intelligent enough not to say, you will do that, you will do that. They just gave the example of people happy of what they're doing, and that happiness created an envy that we had. So I did my studies, classic business school. I work for these consulting American consulting companies, working in Paris from night, from very in the morning till very early in the next morning, trying to do things and for banks, for automaker. And after a while, when you have deep roots, because we are talking of roots. When you have deep roots to a certain area, you go back to it. We are a little bit of gardener, well, more than a little bit, because we have dozens of little parcels, so we are truly gardeners in the way that we take really good care of the vineyards, but we must also do a bit of bookkeeping. We must speak 2 or 3 languages, satisfy the clients, go in Singapore and in other country. As far as I'm concerned, we export in some 30 plus countries. So it's really more a way of living than a job itself.
I'm the 9th generation of Liger-Belair work in the wine business, but I'm the 3rd generation of wine grower, is what I explained before. And my grandfather, in the middle of the 70s, said to my father, don't go in the wine business in the future. It was a petrol crisis, it was quite difficult to sell any bottle of wines. And this is why my father decided to study wines and to study finance and to just be a sort of owner of vineyard without to do anything in the vineyard. So it was just a sort of legacy, and also my grandmother lived in Nuits-Saint-Georges, so was still there, but without to be a wine producer. And also the company has been sold at the end of the 70s. But the vineyard was still...
You never sold vineyards?
No,
you
because
cannot sell vineyards.
well, you cannot sell. And also it was very interesting because the Negociant company has been sold. It was a bankrupt at the end of 70s, but the vineyard was the own property, so it wasn't sold. It was still in leasing. And when I was young, I spent my weekend. When I was 14, I spent a weekend in Nuits-Saint-Georges and with my grandmother. So it wasn't very fun because 60 years difference. And I like to say, except if you like to play Scrabble. So
and eat off.
Exactly. and this is why that for me, I spend my weekend. I just have to cross the garden. We have a big family house, and in front of this house there are the winery. And I cross the garden to go in a winery, where in the winery we rent this place to an old friend of my father who was a winemaker. And I spend my weekend with him. Every time when I hear the dog, and the dog always say aboyer, barks. I know that the guy is coming in the domain, in the garden, and I just cross the garden at the same time. I open the door, say his name is Bertrand. I open the door, say, "Are you there?" Say, "Yeah, Thibault, come." And one time I asked him the question, that's why you never stop working? Why you always here during the weekend? And his answer changed my life, because he said that, "Thibault, I'm not working. I'm here because this is what I love. This is what I'm just here with my wine. When I go in the vineyard, I'm with my vine, and this is what I love. This is my life. And I prefer to be here than in front of my sofa to watch TV, because I have the impression to pass my time. And here I have really the impression to do what I love." And for me, when you are 14, you start to try to think about what you want to do for tomorrow. And it was like evidence that I will become a wine grower. And when I was 16, I've asked my father, this is what I want to do. I want to become a wine grower. I want to study wine. So I've studied wine during 6 years. Then I worked for a communication company in Paris during 2 years. Then I've created with a very good friend from Châteauneuf-du-Pape, the Perrin family, it's Marc Perrin. We have created also together a website, and with some other friends too. And during 2 years, I selling wine by internet. So it was when I say we have created, it was in '99. So really at the beginning of the internet and the startup, and we have sold this website apart to Moitensi. And after this sale, for me it was the moment where I have enough money to take over the vineyard, to take over like a leasing the vineyard in Nuits-Saint-Georges, the family vineyard in Nuits-Saint-Georges, and to buy some of the vineyard. It was still possible at the beginning of 2000, and to start my domain. It was in 2001 to produce the first vintage in 2002.
Thank you for that great story. That was very insightful. Like I was just listening to it the whole time, and I was imagining the whole scene and how you started. You're famous for biodynamic viticulture, which is what you talked about today. Do you come to that kind of naturally, or was it something that came over the years that you saw was necessary in your vineyard?
Well, the first thing that's before to be a winemaker, with my previous life where I was purchasing manager, I visited so many domains, and every time when I had the emotion in the wine was in the domain where they start to work in organic. And one of my biggest emotion was also with the wine was working by Dynami it was in the Rhone Valley, and I was really amazed by the energetic side in the wine. So it was the first part of my life in the wine business, and I keep in the part of my head that when I will start and I will recreate my domain, I will be in organic farming since the beginning. And with that to have worked in some domain in organic farming, just because for me it was like evidence that I have to manage the soil and to take care about the soil to produce a good wine. So since the beginning I've started organic farming, and I've met a lot of interesting winemaker in Burgundy, or also in other part of France, where they start to explain me the biodynamy. I've heard about biodynamy, but at the beginning of 2000, not too many people talk about biodynamy. A few people like Nicolas Joly, for example, and also another people in Burgundy, which is Bruno Clavelier, and have a real true experience, and also another one which is in the Beaune, which is Jean-Claude Rateau, which is in biodynamy since the middle of the 70s, and in their speech, it was never too dogmatic. It was always just a question of thinking, a question of something just like an experience, like a sort of intuitive understanding about everything. So it's why in 2004 I've decided to start my first trial of biodynamy. Then I've been certified in 2007, and I explained I've decided to stop the certification in 2012 because the next step of the biodynamy, when the people start to be a little bit more people start to apply biodynamy, I thought that it was a little bit too dogmatic. And I think our job is everything except dogmatic. And I like to say always the people say, Thibault, if you want to make a good biodynamy, you have to believe. You have to believe about biodynamy. I say, I don't believe about biodynamy. I believe about my soil. I believe about everything, the construction of the planet. This is the ecosystem, and I believe about God and science, and not exactly biodynamy. So for me, it's just a sort of agriculture, and we have to understand what we do and not to apply a product without to understand what happened. It's exactly, and this is why that in 2012 I say I have to stop the certification, and I have to maybe to see in which way I want to produce my wine. And I was very inspired by the work of Hildegard de Bingen. It was a saint of 13th century, and I have some learn how to use the plants, how to use the different type of teas, the different type of decoction, and we have everything in front of us, and maybe we can use it to help the vine, to help the soil to be better and to maybe stronger. And at the beginning, I think that the soil was the most important things. And if we take care about the soil, we don't have to take care about the vine, because the soil is everything. And I've understood with phytotherapy that if you take care about the vine makes the soil makes the vine. And so it's an interaction, it's a synergy. And I like to say to the Chinese people, Chinese Asian people, that what I've tried to recreate a little bit in my wine is a little bit the synergy, what the people call here the qi. And it's really because it is very holistic, and not to see only in one way. And so every day we learn, but we understand very quickly that the life will be not enough to understand everything. And this is why also our job is so passionate.
When we talk about organic biodynamic certifications, is this necessary for the consumer to understand what biodynamics and organics are?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, same. I do organic, but certainly without certification, because here again, I don't want to pay someone else to to control, or what I've been doing for years, and it's just common sense, and it's just interaction with the environment in which you live. And we are not not stupid. We just want to pass these vineyards as good as possible to the next generation, and we clearly do not want to do any harm to this environment, which nourish us. So, as a matter of fact, we are always we are a key and how do you say maillon de la chaîne, from a chain. So we are all linked, and we're part of the world. So this is why, to me, organic farming is just natural, just common sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes, with the global warming, sometimes you may have big problems of big pressure of disease, of fungic disease, and sometimes there can be a certain limit. So
what is Burgundy doing now to battle climate change?
First of all, we are working on different on the Chardonnay itself, Chardonnay or another grape varietal. For us, the grape varietal is just a tool which is used to express a terroir. Okay, in Claude Lapucelle, in Puligny-Montrachet, for instance, before the Chardonnay, you had also some reds, and you had also aligoté white produced in Claude Lapucelle, was expressing a terroir, and this grape varietal is just a tool. Right, so that tool now, if you look at the vine stock, or the massal selection, or the clonal selection, which is grafted to the wine stock, you can firstly choose a wine stock or a massal selection which is more ahead or more late. So you have up to 1 month difference between the earliest to the latest type of Chardonnay, for instance.
Yeah.
So by replanting this slowly, then you will able to adapt. Then you have also a possibility of deciding of harvesting a little early. For Chardonnay, that might be a possibility. You don't have much possibility maybe for the Pinot Noir, because you have a real phenolic maturity, which also is extremely important for Pinot. For Chardonnay, we need also a certain acidity, all right? And this acidity is like the backbone of the wine, because we don't have any tannin on a white wine to balance this. Okay, so acidity is important. Of course, you need a quite of good maturity. So the difficulty is always to find the right balance between acidity and the percentage of alcohol, of sugar, to be that is in your grapes. But honestly, I prefer to have that basic acidity. Of course, you could use a bit of acid or things like this, but on a white wine is but that's not a good move, especially on the acid. On the contrary, for instance, in a year which is very cool, I might use, for instance, a bit of chaptalization, which is also completely authorized, but sometimes just at the end of the fermentation, not to have more alcohol, just to, for instance, to be able to have another 3-4 days of fermentation, so the wine which is in your barrel will have a better integration, the wine and the oak, because during the fermentation you have a temperature which is slightly higher, 22, 24 degrees, and during that period you have a better polymerization and a better mix of the wine and the oak, and this is very important, because this oak will be in your wine, but it will not be a fragrance of your wine. The best oak for me is the one you do not mention. It is a revelator, but it must not be the primary aroma. So it's a good way to digest this oakiness in the wine by having a long fermentation, a bit longer.
And does it matter where you plant the grapes when it comes to climate change? Like, will you be thinking about planting a little bit more on the southern side?
True. Well, indeed, you have more. You have an area in Côte de Beaune called Haute Côte de Beaune, Côte de Nuit, Haute Côte de Nuit as well, where you have seen some little more plantation, a little more because already there was some vineyard there. It's true that 30 years ago we had problems of frost in these area, late frost, but now the frost can happen more in the genuine area more than in the haute côte in many ways. So that can be a possibility, but the terroir is not the same neither. I mean, in Puligny-Montrachet, the first vineyards were planted in 1090, something like this, when the parish of Puligny was given a vineyard, and then they gave the vineyard to the Cistercian monks. So you have a very, very long tradition of vineyard in Puligny-Montrachet, just because the monks found that this area were pretty good to produce wine. If there was not vineyards in the Haute Côte de Beaune, it's maybe because it was not exactly the perfect area where to plant Haute Côte.
Does it count the same for Pinot Noir?
Well, for the Pinot Noir, we have different. Well, I would like to say problem, but also a ton of solutions. And the global warming is something, of course, I don't say we are worried. We are just try to rethink about what we have to do. I think it's a very good opportunity that to start to the people to change a little bit their mind of thinking, and maybe to rethink about their software, how to make wine with what, and or which kind of viticulture we have to do it. And I think it's so interesting that when you see the new generation of winemaker and also the old generation of winemaker start to rethink every year the type of viticulture, and I think that we have a big stretch in the people make the wine to have the capacity to change. So we see so many things happen. The posts become higher. We have a higher canopy, higher density or lower density. It depends. Some people have decided to make higher density, to double the density in the vineyard, to have much more roots, and to have a captation of the roots. Each square centimeter is there are some roots, so you can catch a lot of water. Some people say I have to make a little bit less density to avoid hydric stress, for example. So there are so many things that happen in the wine. I think that the global warming, we have everything in front of us. So when I listen to people say, maybe we have to plant in some Syrah in Burgundy or Grenache, or I think it's a big mistake. And I'm the president of a specific association in Burgundy called the GEST, Groupe d'études et suivi des terroirs. So it's a groupement of 130 growers in Burgundy, and we take care a lot about this subject. And we have decided to launch 7 years ago now a study where we study all the evolution of the different type of Pinot Noir. I say the evolution, I say the maturity. It was so interesting in the 7 years. So we have started 7 years ago, but 24 is hard to say that 24 it could be a good example. But we saw that there are between a specific clone of Pinot Noir and another clone of Pinot Noir, there are 30 days different to have the same maturity. So what we have done in the past, when we have started to select some clone, I'm not a big fan of the clone, but it's interesting to see what happened. The clone we have selected in the CS70s and 80s was selected for the capacity to produce a very stable quantity and also to have a good maturity. Because we don't have to forget that Burgundy, we have planted Pinot Noir at Burgundy because it was the northern part in France where we can grow Pinot Noir and where we can have enough maturity. Above, we have Champagne, but Champagne, they're never looking for a big maturity. They want acidity and not a big level of alcohol. So now they can produce some good wine, good red wine in Champagne, also good red Pinot Noir in Germany, for example. I've tasted so many good wine, so many good Pinot Noir in Germany. And I think that we just have to see in front of us what we have. Maybe we have just to adapt. I think the work of the soil, this is one of the most important things. I say the work or the no work, the no plowing, sometimes could be a good solution to help the vine to have the best capacity to take the water. Because the global warming is something, but the most important things for the future, this is the lack of water. And when we don't have enough water, we can have hydric stress and nothing happen. I will give you just a tip. That's what we try to do at the Domaine, and also our study about the water, especially the 15 days before the harvest. This is where the grapes need the most of the water. And we have understood that when we leave the grass, so we have stopped plowing full, so we keep some grass, especially before the harvest, because we always think that if we leave the grass, they can create some competition and they can take the water from the grass and not for the grapes. And it was so interesting to see that the dew of the morning, we can have the equivalent of 2 millimeters of water, give enough water to make the grapes and to avoid the hydric stress. And more you have some grass, more you have some surface, so more you have the capacity of captation of the dew. And just this, if you have 2 millimeters of dew in the morning, after 10 days, you can have the equivalent of 20 millimeters, which is not too bad. And this is a sort of what I can call natural irrigation. It's one of the examples, but I have plenty of examples. And of course, we have less acidity. We have more maturity and more alcohol. But now, if I take the example of the 2003 vintage, where it was quite warm vintage, it was the first vintage where we have start to see that, oh, now we have a real global warming. And because 23, with free time, we had some heat waves. And it wasn't, we have produced plenty of O3 since O3. But of course, we have learned with the O3 that what we have to do. And now the O3 vintage, when I've tasted my O3 vintage, I'm not a big fan. But when I taste, so for example, 18, when I taste some 15 or 05, or we have plenty of vintages like 2020 exactly. It was quite warm. We have started the harvest very early, and the wine is very well balanced and fresh. Because we never have to forget that the people looking for in our wine, this is freshness, salivation, and I think there are so many other keys we can find to continue to have freshness in the wine. Of course, if we start to produce some big wine with a big powerful in Burgundy, it will be not very interesting. And a lot of people say, it's why I go in Burgundy. I can find so many type of wine everywhere in the world. So what the best characteristic of the Burgundy wine, this is just the finesse, the elegance, and the freshness, and to never have the impression to have a big sensation of alcohol or a big body wine. So I think that we have everything here. We have to work in the two way. Of course, the vineyard, the first thing, the soil, the second way, and I think the third way is also to change a little bit our vinification to make some little bit more light wine. The only things where I'm a little bit, I'm not little worried, I'm very worried about what happened with the global warming, is because we lost a little bit of acidity. We have earned the pH become higher. So we have our wine is a little bit more fragile, especially in front of the microbiology problem. And I think now we have a little bit more Brettanomyces, we have more volatile acid, because the acidity of our wine down a little bit. So the question, because I'm a red producer, I have to harvest a little bit earlier to have a little bit more acidity and to have a lower pH, higher acidity, or I have to be sure that I will have the perfect maturity with a real taste of the terroir, with the everything I need, because I know how to manage a grape with a good maturity. I don't know to manage a grape with a lack of maturity.
But the
So I've
cycle-
decided to take my
The cycle has changed. It's shorter now.
Yes, it's shorter.
It was nearly 100
You're right.
days. Now it's more than 90 days. Cycle is short. So we adapt in general. What I fear most would be because of the global warming, because of change of biological things and insect. See, having a new phylloxera.
Well,
That could be
yeah,
yes,
you're right.
You
You're
with
right.
the flavescence or with cicadelle, lance-flamme.
No,
the
the
new
bacteria,
one,
or the
that-
yeah.
that
Yes,
would
a
be for
new
me. That's
things
why
can
I fear
happen.
most.
But the difference that now, I think we are maybe a little bit more prepared than we was prepared for the phylloxera 150 years ago, and we know we can adapt. And we just have to. And I think the winemaker have a better sense, a more good sense, and they know that if something happens, maybe we are a little bit more aware of what could happen. So of course we are not protected against a new phylloxera, a new bugs, or like what happened in the olive tree, for example, in Italy, or that's and it's quite difficult to manage. And of course the solution is not the insecticide. This is the worst solution because you destroy everything.
Yeah.
Some people say you can use insecticide and you can use organic insecticide. I say organic insecticide destroy everything as same as a chemical insecticide. There are no selection. So I think we have to see more that what we can do, but I'm pretty sure about the capacity of the human to have a very good reflection and to have the capacity to change the mind of thinking and to see a solution in a good way. Now we are much more, we have the technical capacity, and also we have we want to do it. So when the people want to do it, they can find so many solutions, and the human are really stronger.
Price alternatives to Burgundy. Every time they find some new region, such as, let's say you mentioned the German Pinot Noir, they say it's a cheaper alternative to Burgundy, or it's a better value to Burgundy.
I say it's cheaper.
Cheaper.
Yeah, there's a
not
lot
sure.
of people
But it's
that,
not
that
cheaper.
that name every country, Germany, Australia.
But we also have nice
US.
Bourgogne Pinot Noir straight. I mean, we had one today again. Because people think Burgundy is Grand Cru. You know the percentage of Grand Cru you have in Burgundy? Yourself? It's 1.5% of the total production of Burgundy. So we are talking of the 1.5%, but in fact you have 98% of wines which are not Grand Cru, which are not Premier Cru, who are just regional and who provide an excellent quality, and the price are clearly in the market, honestly. And I told you 10 minutes ago that my biggest proudness when I was making a lovely Burgundy, a lovely Bourgogne Blanc, because when you achieve that goal, I mean, you're very proud because. And the technique and the tools and all the years of work, of experience that we have, we serve the regional one, and we are able to make lots of regional one at very, very decent price. So people should go to this type of wine and not think Burgundy equals Grand Cru and Premier Cru, but because it's not the case.
So how would you change that perception of the consumer?
But by let them taste, that's what we do. So we show them. Today we showed, for instance, a Perlan Vergelès or a Saint-Aubin Premier Cru, which is clearly not of the same price, or a simple Bourgogne Chardonnay or a Haute Côte de Beaune red. These wines are just beautiful. And Premier Cru, Grand Cru for fine dining, of course, but there's a wine for each moment in life, and for each type of meeting there's a wine, because we don't have to forget that wine for me is the best how do you say emotional and it's a cement, a social cement, and for me there's a wine for each occasion, and it has not to be always a Premier Cru or Grand Cru. honestly, me, I don't drink Premier Cru and Grand Cru every day in
When we are
Burgundy.
in
That's not the
Singapore,
case.
yes, we do it, and we are very lucky. But no, it's true. I'm totally agree with my friend Jean-Michel, because of course the price of Burgundy the price of the Premier Cru and Grand Cru have increased, and we talk a lot. Also, some top village have increased too. It's true that Burgundy wine maybe it's not for all the people. We need a little bit of money for this kind of wine. But when we talk about the other region, you talk about Germany, and there are some also. When you see the price of the Californian wine or the wine from Oregon or Santa Russian River Valley, and you see just the price for a Pinot Noir, and sometimes it's more expensive than the price of the Grand Cru in Burgundy, and we don't talk too much about this the price of this wine. So it's interesting to see that we are really focused on the Burgundy because the price was high and now is higher, but also it's something the demand is very high. We can say that if the demand is too high, that we have to increase the price. I think it's not my point of view because I've decided to increase a bit the price of my wine in the last 10 years. But to be honest, we know that the market is not too good everywhere in the world, and we are lucky because when we talk with the importers, say the market is quite tough, but we sell very well our wine. But which wine you sell? I say mostly Bourgogne, Haute-Côte, Côte de Nuit village, or the little bit more simple village like Cladois, Côte de Nuit, or Verdun-Beaujolais, for example, because a lot of people also have a very good quality. And I think we can come back a little bit about the last question about the global warming. Now the more simple appellation, it's much better than it was in the past. The Bourgogne situated at the bottom, we have better ripeness. The Côte de Nuit or the Haute Côte de Nuit is situated in the upper side, so sometimes it's 400 meter altitude, where the Burgundy, where the village is more 200, 250 meters, so 200 meters higher, where normally you have less maturity. Now you have a very good maturity, and the quality of this wine is much better, and the price is not too high. It's very affordable. So it's wine that it's interesting to don't focus only about, especially the big wine, which is never too. The production is not too big, as is mentioned by Jean-Michel, but of course this is a locomotive of the Burgundy wine. So we talk about this wine, but it's one that our job also is to say, taste the Bourgogne. And for me, I'm sure the same as Jean-Michel, you can't imagine the work we do to make a good Bourgogne, because the vineyard helps us less, because this is less draining soil. We have a little bit more organic matter, so bigger production, so we have to make 2 debudding instead of 1 for the Grand Cru. So because the Grand Cru the soil is a little bit less rich, so we have to do a little bit more plowing because the grass is growing more often. So just to be sure that the entry-level wine, and I like to say the business card wine. So because the people start with this wine, and also our goal, it's really to make this the first wine of the Domaine amazing, and just to be sure that the people say, and also because we are the first drinker of this wine, they say, oh, I didn't expect this quality in this wine. And finally, for this price, it's okay. I have a piece of Burgundy for not a big price. Of course, I work in organic. I reduce my yield a lot. And when we are allowed to produce 55 hectoliters per hectare, and for the red, in the Bourgogne, I produce 30. Of course, I need to pay for the job. I need to pay for the work. And when the people work in organic, they have to spend much more money to work, and they are also to pay for it. And after, to be honest, there are some wine paid for the other wines. Some Grand Cru wine, Premier Cru wine, where we sell with a better price, pay also because we have just at the balance for the Bourgogne or Haute Côte de Nuit, because with the work we do and the price we sell, it's a good deal for the customer.
Yeah.
When we don't talk about this business side of things like value for money, price quality ratio, when somebody opens a bottle of your wine, any wine, it can be the Bourgogne, it can be the higher Premier Cru, Grand Cru, what do you want them to feel? Like what kind of
Can we
emotion?
taste some red before?
What I want that they empty the bottle, because for me the best bottle is an empty one.
It's my sentence.
No,
Ah.
it's mine. No, we make wine that makes you hungry and happy. I mean, that's what I go back to the social element of the wine. I told you, for me, it's the best social link, social cement, and it's true. When you have a bottle is to be shared. I mean, when you start drinking wine alone, it's not a good sign for me. You must absolutely share, because it's all about sharing, and share and dine. And so I make wine that makes you hungry because of nice acidity, freshness, a lovely expression of its terroir. But at the end, it's for sharing, for eating, and as I said, the best bottle is an empty bottle. It's just a proof that the wine was a good one, and that's it. That's all we want. We don't make wine for the one big ones for championship. Okay, I had 102 points. Why? Excellent. No, sorry. What I want is just you drink, you share, you make partage. That's what we want.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes the wine, the people say, "Oh, we would love to have your wine. We would love to buy the wine. We love to keep it." I say yes, but sometimes you just have to buy and drink, and it's sometimes the people buy the wine and just want to say that, oh, for who you make the wine, and what is your style of the wine, and my style, the style of my wine is a wine I want to produce for myself. So I like to say, to make wine, we have to be very generous, because we have to think that the wine will be very appreciated by the consumer. But also, the first thing, we have to make the wine for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because the most important thing is to be sure that what we produce, we are happy with what we produce. And also, when I make the wine, like what we taste, you see Nuits-Saint-Georges, for example, which is the flagship of the Domaine. I'm in love with this parcel, really, because this is the first parcel I've worked when I've created the Domaine more than 20 years ago. And when I make this wine, if the people say, oh, maybe you have to do this kind of wine, or maybe a little bit more in this way, I say, who you are to tell me that? And sometimes it's happened with some journalists saying, oh, Thibault, maybe they are a little bit too oaky, or maybe you have to use a little bit more whole cluster. Are you sure about the quantity of sulfate you use? I say, I'm sorry, but fuck.
Give me a break.
I just want to make my wine, and if the people like, it's good. We can sell a few, and if the people don't like, there are plenty of different styles to make
our wines are clearly a kind of extension of ourselves, like our baby, I would say. So, because as I told you, for us, it's not a job, it's just our passion. You are passionate about what you do, you feel the same. And at the end, that's what makes us move and run and think. It's just because we are passionate about what we do. That's it.
Exactly.
It's very simple. It's, the common sense of paysan, that's it.
But if we make the wine for somebody else, we will never find the emotional way in the wine. And I think this is our quest. We don't have any recipe, we don't know how to do it, but this is a long time work, maybe for our life, of course, and maybe more, because we understand very quickly that a life will be not enough to understand everything. And this is truly that when the people say, oh, I had a big emotion when I've tasted your wine, this is the best recompense. Much better than the 96 or 97 or 98 or more in the quotation of the wine with a journalist. We don't care. This is not. I'm not wake up the morning to say I will try to make the best wine. That I hope that some very famous journalists say, "Oh, your wine is amazing." I say because I say to the journalist, "You are here because you are a journalist or because you are a wine lover." And taste with your heart and not with your brain. Say, yeah, but we have also to taste and to say what the people want to listen. Say, yes, but try to be a little bit more independent. And we are independent, and we have to continue to be independent with our winemaking. I made some mistake. I will make some mistake. Doesn't matter. I learn.
Of course. But making the same wine, I mean, there are some regions in the world where there were some gurus making a kind of standardization, and Burgundy is clearly not that. On the contrary, we have one single grape varietal, Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, that express differently in terroir, and everybody has his own way of making the viticulture, the vinification, the aging, and at the end, it's like a cook. I mean, you have thousands of different wine, and that's why also we get along very well each other because we have nothing to prove and we are absolutely not in competition.
Or everything to prove. We have nothing to prove, or even because every year is a new challenge. Every year is a new vintage, and also we have everything to prove, but we don't. We have to prove to ourselves.
It's not a competition. There's no competition, clearly.
Yeah.
And no competition between us.
And people feel that. I mean, people, when they are in Burgundy, they feel this atmosphere, in fact. And maybe that's because a part of the success of the Burgundy, because Burgundy guys are, I think, true guys. They just speak with their guts. That's it.
Back to that question of like value for money, right? We always have people seeking the next best thing instead of just focusing on what is good in the bottle, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel something towards another person and towards the meal that you're having. But this is very easy to forget because a lot of people drink wine for the wrong reasons.
Perhaps. And I mean, Burgundy has always attracted people, and finally we speak of very old Cistercian, but in fact Burgundy is always changing. You always have new guys, and some other leave, etc. But you have old families, and so and Burgundy has always been a crossing. Now south, west. You have thousands of people. You have Japanese people who came in Burgundy to make wine. You have Australian, Americans. Everybody comes, and I like that because it's the richness of Burgundy. Absolutely, and we must. And it's good to have new faces.
Yeah.
After that, you need to keep your feet on earth.
On the ground, yeah.
and I think that all families like us. We have known ups and downs like life is, in fact, and we just keep the head cool.
Yeah. We can wrap up on that note. Very great conversation with Jean-Michel and Thibault. Thank you so much for being here. I'm for sure that you have a lot of stuff to do in Singapore, so we're not going to keep you too much.
No, it was
Thanks
a
once again.
It was a real pleasure.
Thanks to Weimouth for the great space, which we always use, and to Vinum, the incredible team behind these wines.
Thanks to Vinum, above all, yes. They are our best ambassadors, clearly.
You're going to see the link in the bio to buy the wines. See you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers, santé.
Cheers. Santé.
Cheers.